Right guys, so in the last video what we looked at is, I believe we looked at UI and stuff like that. We got menu sorted. So far in the project we have essentially set it up so that it looks like this. So you go in, you get your quit button, you get your play, and this is how this works. So we've got this working, we've got all the cleanup done, we can build executables, which I believe was the last video. So now what I want to do is I just want to put kind of like the finishing touches. So the next video, this video will be how to get the background in there, how to get that scrolling background and that effect that most people look for. And then after that, it's just going to be a few optional changes that can add different elements to your game. So yeah, let's just crack on. So to start with what I've done, so if I just go back to my sample scene, this is where it's going to be. I have, not in there, I haven't. Yeah, just randomly in here. I've just brought in a picture of a sky because that's going to be my background. You'll notice that it's different to other images that we brought in the past because it's set as default rather than sprite or anything like that, because this is going to be like a weird way of doing this. This is going to be setting up a texture on a 3D object, using it in a 2D way. So you'll see what I mean by that. So let's crack on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click in the hierarchy, I'm going to add a 3D object and I'm going to add a quad. So you'll see that it's over here, I want it to be over there, so let me just zero everything out. So now you can see it is in the middle of the viewport, as you can see here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch this out so it fits. And up here as well. So roughly, what, 18 to 10? Yeah, that seems about right. Obviously we're working on a 16:9 ratio, so that just about fits. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get the sky on there, and then we're going to make it move. So the way we do this is we add a material to this. So I'm going to right click, create, and I'm going to create a material. I'm just going to call this sky_m for the material. One thing I will do before we get any further, now I think about it, is I'm just going to drag this back slightly because we can run into problems where it won't quite fit where we need it to. So if I come back to 2D mode, it's still in the viewport, so that still works. If we move it a bit further back, because it could potentially hide the hazards when they come in, so that's what we've done there. So back onto the material. So I'm going to set this material to, up here it says what kind of shader do you want. It wants to be an unlit texture. We're going to drag that from there into there and drag that onto this object here. So you can see the sky is in, it's working. We'll give it a little test, make sure we can see the hazards as they come in. Make sure we've not messed anything up. There we go. They're coming in nice. Obviously, this looks very weird given the fact that everything seems to be moving apart from the background. So that's what we're going to set up now. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to create a C# script, and I'm just going to call this Paralax_BG. Open that. There we go. So we've got this in now. So this is how we're going to set this up. It's like 3 variables, 3 lines of code. So we'll see. So very simple to set up. So the first thing we're going to set up is a public game object. Not spelled like that, we're not. Capital G, capital O, and we're going to call this, I'm going to call it quad object, because obviously I'm using a quad. Next thing we're going to have is a private renderer, capital R, and this is going to be called quad renderer, because obviously we put that on a quad. And the last thing we're going to have is we're going to set a public float for scroll speed. Right, so there we go, there's variables in. Obviously you can call these whatever you want. I have noticed recently, especially with my students, the whole capitalization thing, that's why I was pointing them out a minute ago, seems to be a big thing. So make sure that when you're writing this out, you're capitalizing the right letters in certain words. It can get a bit confusing. So to start with, we're just going to set up quad renderer equals quad object dot get component, not like that. Obviously capital G and C for get component, and then we want to look for a renderer. Oh, it's doing that annoying thing where it's trying to auto correct me, but there we go. So we want a renderer. We're going to open and close that and end that line. So that's line 1 of 3 down. The next line we want to add is a vector 2. Oh. And we're going to call this texture offset. Yep. Equals new vector 2 in brackets time dot time times, so obviously an asterisk is the times, scroll speed, and then we're going to go in and we're going to set this to 0. So obviously it's an X and Y. I don't want it moving up and down, I just want it moving side to side. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go in, look for a quad renderer, dot material, dot main texture offset equals texture offset. There we go. So this is what we're essentially setting up. So if I go save all, this is all the code. So essentially if I break down these lines, the first bit we're looking for is trying to find where the renderer is. The second bit is setting the texture offset down here. So this is the texture offset is time times speed. And then we are setting the offset of the actual object itself to our predefined texture offset. So if minimize that, there we go, I'm popular. I'm going to put this script on the camera. I like to put scripts on the camera because you always need a camera. You could have it on an empty object. I'm not going to bother with that. So I'm going to put that in here. It doesn't matter where it goes. I'm going to add the quad and I am going to set the speed to, let's just say 0.5. Right. So I've got weird engine issues, but nothing that I can't get rid of. So we should go in now. And as you see, this is moving just as we need it to. We can speed it up, we can slow it down just by changing that variable. But our background is now moving. As I said, if we want to go in and we want to change it, make it a little bit faster. I've changed that to 2 now, so it'll be very fast. There we go. Absolute manic mode. But there we go. We've got that working, and as you saw at the start, it's not actually moving at all. It's just the texture in the background moving. So that's how we're faking that. So as I said, in the next video, what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at essentially switching everything so that your game maybe goes from you're at the bottom and everything's coming from the top. So if you think about having a phone or a tablet in portrait mode and how you could set that up, including how to use buttons for movement rather than just tapping. So yeah, catch you in the next video, guys. I'll catch you later.